everybody, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel. So today I am showing you how to make a little minimalist wallet. So it's just a super basic, quick wallet with a little snap closure. It opens up and it has card slots on either side here. It can, like I said, it snaps closed. So I'm using sew-in snaps for this, but you can use any kind of snaps that you have. If you have one of those little plastic things, the little plastic snaps, I don't know what they're called, but that would speed up the process. I'm just using little sew-in snaps, but it's just a great fun little project. It holds all your little cards, and it pairs well with mini wallets, or I'm sorry, no, this is a mini wallet. Pairs well with mini purses to keep your cards organized, or if you just want to have something that you can go and like stick in your pocket or something, this is perfect for that. This particular one that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different cards in here that fit perfectly. But it's not like ridiculously loose, so that if you only had one card on either side, like nothing's fallen out. Like I have now one card on either side, and there's no way to get the card out, so you don't have to worry about it being loose and falling out or anything like that. So it's just a great little minimalist wallet. So it takes minimal supplies. I'll go over that in a second. So come along and sew this with me. And I always wait until the end to talk about this, but if you do end up enjoying this video, if you find it helpful, make sure to subscribe. And I go over, free little projects like this, as well as longer tutorials from other designers that, you pay for the pattern and I show you how to make it, or my own designs. Yeah, so here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so to start, you're going to need 2 scrap pieces of fabric along with some lightweight interfacing. So I am using, this is like featherweight, or I think it's called like Pellon P44F. It's like super, super lightweight. You are going to need a marking tool of some kind and a hand sewing needle, along with a little snap. So alternatively, so this is a sew-in snap that you have to do, hand sewing for. Alternatively, you could use one of those like little plastic snaps if you have the clamp or, however to install it. I do not, so I'm just using this, and it works out just fine. And I already said that. Yeah, and then typical sewing machine scissors, sewing machine thread, that kind of stuff. And that's it. And I'll go ahead and put on the screen here what you need to cut your pieces to. We'll need an exterior piece and a lining piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those. And then for each piece that we have, we're going to need some interfacing. Some of that interfacing will cut to the exact same size as our pieces. Fuse it all, and I'll come on back here when I am done with that part of it. All right, so I have my interfacing fused onto all 6 of those pieces. So I'm going to set these 2 pieces, like the exterior, the larger pieces aside for now. And actually I'm going to set 2 of those aside as well. So I only have these 2. So I need to mark the center of them. So I just fold it in half and press it with my finger, and I can see a little crease there. And now I need to get out my thread and my hand sewing needle. Get that ready. All right, and what we're gonna do is take one of our little button sides, and we are going to sew that on by hand 3/4 of an inch up. 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. So if you have a directional print, keep that in mind. You want it from the bottom of the piece. And what I am doing is just on the wrong side of it, marking a little line. And then just kind of moving around my needle in that spot. Sorry, I marked a dot, not a line. And just marking that spot there so that I can see it from the front, in theory. I don't necessarily want to mark it on the front. I mean, I guess you can because the button's going to be in the way, but I just feel like I'm going to be able to see it. So I am just poking a hole there so I can see. It's kind of difficult to see, but I can see where that button needs to be. So I'm going to center that button over top of there, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and sew it on. Okay, so I need to knot the end of this. And I'm really just holding it in place right where I marked it. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead, and this is probably going to be extremely hard to see. I'll try and zoom in, but I'm just gonna go ahead and sew this button on. So there's 4 little openings on the button, so I'm just going up through one, down through the next, up through the next one, down through the next one. Until I get back to my starting point, the hole that I started through. Then I'll come back up through that one again, and then I'm going the opposite direction. Oh, I got tangled. I'm not a very good hand sewer. Carefully your thread doesn't get tangled like mine keeps doing. There you go. Okay, came up through that one, then this one. And then I am gonna go back around again so that each of the holes has, basically I'm going clockwise around once, counterclockwise around once, and then repeating that. Probably a little excessive for just a little wallet, but last thing you want is for this to come apart. All right, so now I've done that. So now I just need to tie off my threads at the back. So I'm just going to take a little bite of the fabric right behind the button and make sure my thread doesn't get all twisted because it is already. All right, so pull that through and you'll have a little loop over here which just got twisted up again. Always does that. Okay, so I have my little loop here. So I'm not pulling it all the way through. So I'm just going to go ahead and swirl my needle through and then pull. Hopefully that's in view. Okay. I'm going to do it one more time. So just take in a little bite of the fabric. I might even only be getting the inner facing, and that's fine. Hold my finger kind of over here so that this doesn't get tangled on me. Now, swirl the needle around and then pull. Hopefully my hands aren't in the way for that. I feel like they probably are. And we can go ahead and clip, and now we have our little snap secured on there. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. So we have both of our snaps on now. Test them, make sure you installed them correctly, and make sure that when you snap them together that the fabrics are lining up correctly, that they didn't shift while you were sewing it on or anything like that. All right, so now we can go ahead and take our other two pieces here, and you want to make sure you're not sewing these two pieces together. You want to pair these two pieces with the other two pieces that you didn't sew. Place them right sides together. And on both of them, we're gonna sew along the top here, not the edge where the snap is, just right along the top here. So we're gonna go ahead and sew that at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, turn it right side out, and top stitch. And we'll do that on both pieces. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take mine over to the iron and just give it a press really quick to get it to all lay nicely on both of these pieces, and then I'll go ahead and top stitch. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and top stitch at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then I'm also going to go ahead and just sew basically just the entire way around at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I'm just basting the other sides closed. All right, so now we have both of those snaps. So now we can go ahead and put it all together. So what we're gonna do is take one of our bigger pieces and lay that right side up. And then we're gonna place both of these little flaps here with the snap side up. And we'll clip that in place, and then we'll do the same thing over here, and we're making sure that we are aligning the raw edges right here, and that the folded edge that we top stitched is in the center. Okay, and then we'll take our other piece and we're gonna lay that right side down on top of all of that. And what I'm gonna do is just pull my clip out and put it right back on. Okay, and then we're just gonna go ahead and sew the entire thing at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving an opening. We don't need a huge opening, but I don't want to mess with all of the layers over here, so I am going to do the opening over on the side here, basically just next to the like little pocket pieces. I'm going to sew in just a little bit, and hopefully that gives me enough space. We'll see. If this is a bad idea, I will let you know. I'll put a little comment there. So just right before the one of the pockets, I can feel that that's where it is. That's where I'm starting. And we'll just go ahead and sew all the way around at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And at each of those, like where the pocket is, I can feel that it's, you know, a bit thicker there. I am just doing a quick back stitch over those. Just gives it a little bit more security since that's the pocket, and it's going to get some stress added to it when you like go to stick stuff in the pocket. Okay, and then I went ahead and back stitched at the very beginning, which was right over top of that last pocket piece. And last thing before we turn it is we're just going to go ahead and clip all of the corners. So it just reduces some of the bulk in the corners and makes it so that you can turn it out a little bit easier, and, you know, poke out the corners and get a nice point to it. Okay, and we'll go ahead, and this is a very small space here, but it's not a super thick project, so we should be okay. And when you feel inside here, you want to turn it. If you turn it the wrong way, it's fine. We can fix it after, but you want to try and stick your finger and poke out. How do I explain this? So right now I kind of pinch the fabric where I'm going to be turning it and then push it through with my thumb. And I want my pointer finger to be on the spot where the button is, the right side of the button, not the back side where I sewed it on. So that is the side that I'm working on poking in the corners for. And if you turn it the wrong way, it's fine. You just flip it when you get it turned right side out. It's not a big deal. But this way you get it turned out potentially the right way without having to mess with it. Okay, so we got that side out. So now we need to do the same thing over here. I'm feeling around, that's my button. So I want to be on that side, poking the corner out. That. All right. And if you had turned it the wrong way, like I was mentioning, you would just see it like this with the pocket on the inside. No big deal. You just go and flip it like that. Like I said, no big deal. All right. So now you get something to poke your corners out with. So you can use a pen, like I have a clicky pen with the ink unclicked, or you could use the blunt end of scissors. Don't use super pointy scissors like these, because that'll just tear through your fabric. But if you have some that have a blunt end to it, that'll work. We're just going to go ahead and use whatever we got to poke our corners out. All right, and then I'm going to take this over to the iron and just give it a press to get everything kind of flattened out. But then also I'm going to turn my opening in so that the fabric is folded in 1/4 inch. And then our hole that we use to turn this is hidden right in the side there, because we're going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around after we give it a press. So just kind of flatten it out, make it look kind of nice. And then we'll go ahead and give it a press with the iron. All right, so we got it all pressed. So now we just need to go ahead and top stitch around the entire thing at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Depending on your presser foot, it might be helpful to put a zipper foot on, just because sometimes, depending on the button that you use, sometimes it can get a little bulky and there's not a whole lot of clearance there. And a zipper foot just gives you a little bit less space that the foot is taking up, so you can get around, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think, no, you know what? I'm not going to risk it with mine. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to start at my opening over here, just kind of in the middle of it. And we're just going to go ahead and sew at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance around the entire thing. Now, even though we use super thin interfacing, the jump up onto the pocket here is a little thick, so just go slow. Back to the start, so I'm just back stitching, and then we can trim our threads. All right, and then very last step is optional, but one thing that you can do also to just kind of, I don't know, finish it off, and it kind of creates a natural crease at the top of the fold there. So what I'm doing is just folding it in half and kind of using my nails, or you can use, you know, something to kind of create an imprint. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew 2 lines 1/8 of an inch on either side of that line that I just creased. So I'm basically just using the edge of my presser foot as a guide, since I can't really see, you know, my seam allowance or anything. And I'll back stitch and then do the same thing on the way back. All right, all those little threads, go ahead and trim those up. All right, and it just kind of, like I said, creates a natural crease there for the fabric. So now we can go ahead and take our cards, slide them in and give it a test. And there we go. And we have plenty of space for multiple cards on either side. But because we got the snap there, those, even if it is, you know, a little loose because you only have 1 card in there or something, nothing's falling out of there. Like, nothing is going to accidentally come out. Like, I'm trying right now and I can't get the card out of there, so nothing's going to, you know, fall out and make a mess in your purse. So it's just a great little mini wallet, so you can go and, you know, stick it in your back pocket or something while you're walking around, if you just want to take a couple cards with you, or if you have a really small purse. Shameless plug, this would be a great little wallet to throw in your Brandy crossbody bag that I have a pattern for if you would like to check it out. But yeah, so that is our fun little wallet. I actually have one of these in the same print that, you know, I just had laying around, so I figured I would show off how perfect this fits in here. So now you have your cards in there. It fits perfectly right on inside there without adding any kind of bulk or anything like that. Or you could toss this in the front pocket. There we go. All right, well, there we go. There is our little minimalist wallet. Is that what we're calling it? Sure. But yeah, so it is just a great little fun project. I went and bought like a bunch of these little snaps, and they were ridiculously cheap for another project that I did like 2 years ago, and I had no idea what to do with them. And now I can put them to use. And yeah, like I said, if you have one of those little plastic snaps, I have no idea what they're called. But yeah, if you have one of those, like it would eliminate the hand sewing and this project would fly by. You'd probably have it done in like 5 minutes. So I might invest in one of those because that would make this go fast, and I feel like I want to make more of these. But yeah, so there we go. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, make sure to leave a comment down below and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay tuned for future videos. I'll see you next time. Bye.